You're very privileged.
We're all privileged, actually. Just to think that we can just flick a switch and all be together like this. It's fantastic.
Right, so a couple more people coming in now. I'm going to just say hello to everyone who I haven't said hello to already. Welcome to Crown Pub once again. Here we go again, another Thursday afternoon, the Thursday before Easter. So most of us are off tomorrow in the civilized world. So today I'm going to hand over to Mark, and we've got some very welcome guests to talk to us today. So over to you, Mark.
Okay, thanks. Well, it was about 2 weeks ago. I was getting ready to go on holiday, and I missed a call from Italy. And I thought, oh, if it's important, this person will leave me a message. Anyway, they didn't. And then I got to my holiday and I got another missed call. And I thought, who is this person that's ringing me? Their number wasn't in my phone. And then I got a WhatsApp from Lorenzo. And then I got an email from Lorenzo. And I thought, hang on, this is important. So I actually ran Lorenzo back on a Saturday morning. I'd lost track of time as to what day it was. And that's when I found out about Print Against War. And that's when, I decided, yes, it's something we need to get involved with. So we've got Lorenzo, we've got Gabriella from Italy. They run a publishing company. What I'd like to do, guys, for each one of you, if you could, just introduce yourselves, tell us how you got into print, because we're all printers here. And how you got to be editors and publishers of your own publications. Let's start there. Lorenzo, do you want to go first?
Yes, thanks. It's really up to you. So first of all, Mark and Calvin, thanks a lot. Thanks to all of you and the bartenders at the Crown Pub for having us today. Mark, you are a fantastic ambassador. I was disappointed because you didn't have my number in your cell phone, but now I'm not anymore. So
I've got it now.
Okay, it's quite embarrassing to be on the other side. Normally, I am the one who conducts the interview, but. Okay, how did I get into print? I should tell you that probably my grandfather was a printer, and he was also a teacher of lithography in a printing school. But actually, I met him very little when I was young, and honestly, I never talked to him about that. The truth is that at the middle school, I really liked drawing, and I made the big mistake of saying my tutor that I wanted to study in a graphic school. So too bad, what happened is that they sent me into a graphic arts school that was more about printing and pre-press and color management and photolithography than drawing actually. So I became a print engineer, and I started printing to earn my salary. I was working at litho printing and then digital printing operations. Then in the late 90s, I met the publisher of Italia Publishers, our publication, and I made another big mistake because I followed him in this adventure. I became a technical editor in this publication, and I stayed there for the next 10 years. Then I took a break and I became a consultant in the industrial print sector. I took care of some inkjet projects in different markets, including textile and corrugated and other stuff. And but in the end, the wind of publishing pulled me back again into the Italia Publishers project along with Gabriele. And in 2015, we bought the magazine, and today we are the publishers of this magazine. We are influencers. We are also filmmakers from a couple of years now. We produce industrial video and virtual events, and since the last couple of days, we are also fundraisers for Ukraine. So this is my personal story. Then I leave to Gabriele, who is the other half of the apple in our company.
So Gabriella, did you make as many mistakes as Lorenzo?
Yes, but I'm not very good at talking about myself, so I will be short. But yes, the story is almost the same in a different part of Italy. I'm from Rome originally, and I started almost the same way. When I was at secondary school, I was good with Macintosh computers, and this was the beginning of the 90s. So the big boom of desktop publishing, and I was really good at 12 already. And so I started this graphic school, which was about graphic design and printing. And then after the school, I did a little bit of graphic design, and finally I landed in the printing industry. And yes, I printed for some years in a print shop, and then I moved to Milan, where I met Lorenzo. And then the story is almost the same. Some years together at that publishing company that owned our magazines at the time. Then some years in the market, I was a technical solution architect for Zund and then for Durst here in Italy. And we then decided to start working on the project of density, so buying the magazine from the former publisher, raise the bar of the quality, and create something a little bit different than just the marketing, just a big brochure for machine manufacturers or brands in the sector. And yes, quite recently we decided, we saw these bad things happening around the world, or in Eastern Europe, more precisely, and we decided that was our moment to do something, that we needed to do something. We felt the absolute urgency to do something. And we started building the Print Against War idea. Yeah. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are. So we're at another one of those crisis points. 2 years ago, we had a crisis that was the pandemic. And it was pretty straightforward to know what to do. Stay at home, don't breathe on people, wear a mask. But when it came to what happened in the Ukraine, then personally, I was, well, what can I do about this? I had no idea how possibly I could do anything useful until Lorenzo got in touch about Print Against War. So, tell us what was that point where you thought, I have to do something about this, and we have to start something? Were you together at the time, or did one of you come up with the idea?
Yeah, we were together. We are always together. We are in this office. We are now together, one in front of the other, actually. Okay. And yes, and almost 99% of the things that we developed start with an idea, then become something together, sharing that idea. But the spark for this decision to act was an email from a publisher in Ukraine. So we received that email asking for help, and immediately after sending him some direct help, we thought, okay, and that's it. That's the maximum we can do. We are influencers in this industry. We print 4,500 copies of a magazine. We have this database. We know people around Europe, and the maximum we can do is a wire transfer. There should be something else. And even with zero experience in the non-profit world, in fundraising, etc., we said, okay, probably everyone started from a white page. Also, other big organizations started with just a lot of energy and a white page. And that was something like the 26th or 27th of February. And at the 28th of February, we registered the domain, Print Against War. After a brief investigation,
I've just posted the link in the chat for the webpage, so people can see that.
Yes, yes. So we decided to register this domain almost immediately, and we had some ideas about what to do with this domain. We shared them also with some other publishers across Europe, and of course with this person that asked for help from Ukraine. Mm-hmm. And yeah, at the same time, we thought, okay, let's. We had in our address book also the contacts of another publisher in Ukraine that we met at some industry events, and we connected with him too, and he was struggling as well, and this told us horrible stories about printers there. Entire companies shut down or in standby since the beginning of the war, with uncertainty and all the families abroad. And yes, from that moment on, we started building like Lego, one step at a time, the idea of what to do with some help of. We have been lucky because since the very beginning of Density in 2015, we have been donors. We always had 1.5% of our turnover donated to someone else. And then, thanks to the connection with this organization that received our donation, at that moment, we decided to switch the roles, and we asked them for some help. What should we do? How can we do that? And how can it be international? What are all the issues is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we understood that it's not that easy to collect money for charity.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to come on to that. But so Lorenzo, I'll give you a chance. What are the aims then of Print Against War? I've read the manifesto on the website, but you can probably put it into words better than me.
Yeah, to be brief, the idea as we developed it, because as you can imagine, we had a very short time to think about it, and many let's say thoughts came after the many conversations we had, and the many internal let's say follow up we had. And we would I don't know, summarize the project, the idea in something like a project designed to enable our industry to have an impact, to have a sort of impact in the management of humanitarian and economic crisis and emergencies, such as the Ukrainian one. Okay, so the Ukrainian, the Russian invasion of Ukraine is an example. It's, of course, today is the priority, but the idea in general of Print Against War is a wider idea, and maybe that later on we can try to go more in depth on this. And also an initiative to restore and reconnect the let me call it like this, the economic and the social fabric of printing in the regions that are affected by these situations. So it's not just a matter of I don't know, putting some money in the pocket of a printer who is struggling, but it's a much wider idea that touch economic, financial touch points that are very important, organizational touch points as we will see, technical touch points, but also human and professional touch points. And our idea is that our industry can take action, can mobilize, and can have a strong impact.
Yeah. So I've seen the website develop over the past couple of weeks, and I've seen the videos on YouTube. So when does Print Against War actually launch, or is it now launched? Is it now ready for taking action? Yeah,
it is. It is. At the moment, we are spending a lot of our time in strategic conversations, both with European and whatever North American, Israeli-based printers and manufacturers. We are building up content and interviews, as you have seen, and we are doing all the practical work to get this project up to speed. Gabriele, in this sense, has done much more than I have in the preparation, in the setup of the project. So maybe you can add some words on this.
Yeah, Gabriele.
Sure, here I am. Yes, the website started. Maybe I can show you something. The website it's online since 7 days, and we are working at the same time on 2 different fronts. The first front is, of course, like in this moment, collect adhesions to the project because we need ambassadors and we need people that is aware of the project. And the second front is the I don't know how to describe it, but is the part behind the scenes. What should be set up? What we should set up to make this possible? So yes, the website itself is not. There is no donation button, as you can see, and now I will explain you why. But it's just the marketing. It's I don't know. It's to spread the verb about this foundation. It's planned to be in various different languages. As you can see, the manifesto is available. I don't know if you are seeing my
Yeah, we
screen.
are, yes.
Oh, great. So as you can see, we have many languages and we are translating all the contents in the website in all these languages. Plus, we have this important join the conversation that I saw. Thank you, guys. Many of you are already filling the form. This is important. It's a Slack community. It's a closed group of people talking and being active, sharing ideas. And it's probably the most important meeting point now about Printing Against War.
Just to say, I'd never used Slack before, but I registered and it's so simple. If you can use WhatsApp, you can use Slack. It's don't feel overawed by it. It's a doddle. So yeah, thank you. Carry on. Sorry.
It's pretty easy, and yes, you have a possibility to share documents and vocal messages, whatever. It's more business oriented than WhatsApp, for instance. And this is what we are doing for bringing some warm messages to these Ukrainian printers, and at the same time to make visible what's happening. We have now just one single interview from a printer from Odessa, but we have already unlisted 3 other, and we have 4 other that are recorded. And the problem here, I want to clarify, is that this very slow process to record an interview in Ukrainian got the translation from got the subtitles from in Ukrainian and then translate them in English and then in many other languages. Yeah. So yes, we are a little bit slow, small group of people, and but the aim is at the same time to have messages going from the rest of the world to Ukrainian printers to warm them up a little bit, and having testimonies of what's happening and how they are struggling there from them. And we have a little bit of complexity also in connecting with them, as you can imagine. It's not easy. They speak a different language. They use a different alphabet. Even Google is not easy to use to find them. Right. It's not the same words. So if you write printing, it's not. Thanks God, we have we are helping a girl that was a former that is a former employee of one of these Ukrainian publisher. We are helping her, and she is helping us back, connecting with these printers. She is a refugee in Germany now, and yeah, she has a little bit of time to help us. And moreover, I have at my house a couple of refugees that since they have a little bit of time as well, they are two managers from different sectors. One is from the food industry and the other one is from the IT industry. But they have a little bit of time and they don't want to think too much. I mean, not they don't want, but I don't want them to stay the entire day without doing anything. So we agreed to have a little bit of help also from them because of the alphabet, etc.
That's good.
But yes, the point is that it's a little bit heavy to collect these interviews and get the trust of these people, explain them what we are doing.
Yeah.
Going to the idea of Print Against War, what it is, I'm more the technical person, less marketing stuff. I'm the builder, the one that put the blocks one over the others. Print Against War should be, it will be part of a foundation, will be the project of a foundation. The foundation name is Meaningful Print. And this is a foundation, this is needed because as I was mentioning at the very beginning, it's not easy to be a non-profit organization and collect donation in this world. You get a lot of advantages when you are, but you are under the eye of the tax office and whatever. Last, we had to deal, Mark, tell me if I'm going longer with my, I'm long-winded.
One of my questions was going to be how is the organization set up? Is it a charity or a non-profit organization or both? And does it reach across several countries?
Yeah, that's okay. I'm going to tell you immediately that it's a foundation, and the big issue we found is that we decided we need a non-profit organization, and the foundation is a non-profit organization to all the extents, but is the cross-border donations. We are a single, we in Europe and yeah, you too, we are a single continent. We can exchange goods easily, but there is no law and nothing said or written about donation, cross-country donations. So it was really, really a steep climb to find a solution, to reach a certain arrangement that could work for every country in the world, or at least in Europe and North America. So first we needed to be a foundation. Then we needed to find a country in Europe where being a foundation is good and is supported and easy and quick. And we chose Estonia because, as you probably know, everything is digital. So Estonia is famous because they were digitalizing their public administration already in the beginning of the 2000s. It's also famous because of Skype. Skype, yes, was born there. Right. And yes, and we also found there this law firm that we hired, which is Njord, and is they have a presence in something like 16 countries, and they are specialized in taking care of international businesses from Estonia. And moreover, was a lucky encounter because they are in this country. They feel the problem of Ukraine very much. You know, everybody is saying that they are the next step in the craziness of Putin. So they decided to help to split the cost in half for us for this. And yeah, they are working for us. We are paying them already, and they are building the foundation now. The act of associations are already ready, and it's just a matter of time. Plus, we hired this other Frankfurt law firm to take care of cross-border donation duties, all the stuff needed to make this non-profit organization be approved by the German tax authority. We started with Germany because you know that it's the biggest economy in Europe. So at first, we want to make the first step being able to receive tax deductible donations from Germany, but we will do the same for all the other countries. Also, we hired this accountants or this accountancy firm for the company. And we are in the process of creating an agreement with these American Friend Funds, which is exactly meant to allow European foundations to collect money in the US. So they are a sort of intermediary from this King Baldwin Foundation, which is based in Belgium, but they have this subsidiary in the US that allow people from any other foundation to collect money there, and then they take for them a certain percentage of their what they collect for us and send in Europe the rest. And this is the easiest way without building a foundation in US too, having to pay for an office, etc., etc., etc.
Right.
So, yeah, go ahead.
So the amount of work you've done and the amount of diligence behind it it's impressive, and obviously it costs money too. But Lorenzo, can I ask you? I'm hopeful that everyone who's joined today has joined because they want to help, they want to do something. What can we do as a group of unrelated, really, people in the print industry? From some are commercial printers, some are with OEMs, some are consultants in the industry. You've got fellow publishers and editors here as well. What can we do? What are practical steps that we can take?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Yes, there are, of course, different levels, as you all can imagine. You are right. I'm glad that to this afternoon at the pub I see some good friends from the media and consultant and influencers and printing guys. So. Of course, in some ways, it's in this moment is necessary to have counterparts that can endorse the project and ambassadors that can influence others, and counterparts that. And I will get to this point, to the point of how we expect to raise money, that wish to talk to the foundation, and as Gabriele explained very well, the lawyers, the consultants that are working for the foundation to prepare agreements and possible contracts. So it's not something that we or the foundation can do in a one-way mode. It's something that has to be done in close collaboration with the counterparts that can be printers or manufacturers or other kinds of organizations, and of course, yes, in the end, somebody who want to basically, I don't know, make commitment to support or to donate or to join the fundraising program. To go into the details, how does the foundation expect to raise money or to get support? On one end, we strongly believe that there could be forms of spontaneous support. If you listen to the first interview with this guy, with this printing company in Odessa, what they are looking for at the moment are good collaborations, are customers who can in some ways buy their beautiful eco-sustainable products and help them to keep the company open, help them to keep the employees in place and guarantee some business continuity. So this is probably the most obvious, but it's a very important form of support that we are encouraging, of course. Regarding Print Against War, so the more, let's say, structured forms of support, we have identified a couple of concrete ways to raise these funds. One way, one tool that we believe can be very effective and not such heavy for a single company is the so-called, you are English, you know better than me how we can call it, but the checkout donation. So the possibility for a buyer into a web-to-print or a web-to-pack website, when they place an order, to donate a small sum, like a €1 or £1 or $1,
or rounding up the cost to a round figure. Like if they're spending £25 or £29, make it 30 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, is exactly the same way that when you buy your EasyJet or your Ryanair ticket and you add a couple of pounds for the CO2 emissions to neutralize the CO2 emissions and to do something good for the planet. So in this case, being in a B2B or in a B2C environment, so that would be probably a good idea. And there are plenty of online printing companies that can. It doesn't matter the size or the average order value, that can probably implement this function into their e-shops. And of course, donations, simple donations are and will be a good probably way to engage with this project if they are deductible. And Gabriele and the consultants of Meaningful Print are working on that to make it deductible, to make it easier for anybody. And the third main point is, of course, involving the manufacturing companies, like equipment manufacturers, paper mills, software engineering companies, and any sort of operation of business in the market, label converters and printer and commercial printers as well, to find ways to help these companies. Maybe it's something that we can discuss better in a later point. Don't want to stop too much on this. Is that these Ukrainian companies will need a lot of different things in the near future, hopefully in the near future, and if the entire industry is ready to understand what they need and make plans, everyone for its own part. So we build and this foundation can in some ways coordinate these efforts, so we can achieve a great result and a great goal.
Yeah, I've just seen a question come in from Robert, and it was one that I was going to ask as well. Is it only money, or is it consumable supplies that are also needed? Because I have read some things on some of the stories on the website about consumables.
It is, yes, of course, it's a bit tough to say in this period, because we all know that everybody is struggling to get paper or offset plates or whatever kind of a consumable and spare parts in any part of the world at the moment. But there are companies, yes, in Ukraine. We know it. We are talking to some of them, exchanging messages on WhatsApp and Telegram, and some of them are simply, let's say, unable to print already now because they cannot receive their I don't know, ink cartridges, their toner cartridges, or some amount of paper, and it will be even worse in the near future. Now it's more a matter of logistics. In the future, it will be a matter of course, financial resource, money, etc. So yeah. Of course, it will be a great way to help and to put some asset in the project.
Yeah. So just sort of summing up a couple of questions here, bring them together. You know, one is, are there still printers working in Ukraine? And if there is, then what kind of things are they printing? What are they able to print?
Yeah, there are many different situations. We are conducting the more conversations we can with the printing companies from different parts of Ukraine. In the southwest, in the southeast, sorry, part of Ukraine, you know, the situation is terrible. Most companies, not just companies, unfortunately, even homes and schools and hospitals are simply destroyed, grounded, and a couple of suppliers, the Ukrainian offices of digital print brands, the digital print manufacturers are reporting. We are in touch with them. We are in touch with everybody is available, and they report that the situation over there is simply crazy. The companies don't exist anymore. That's the point. In other parts of the country, like the western part and the southwestern part, yes, there are companies that are still running. Some of them are temporarily closed. They are not maybe damaged, but they are temporarily closed because the demand, the flow of orders from the domestic market has almost stopped. No more advertising agencies or design companies are placing orders, and yes, there is some everyday work. Most companies are printing for the armed force for free, mostly for free. And but yeah, those who are open are in the position to print almost any kind of materials, depending, of course, on their own, let's say, specialization. So, for example, yesterday I had a very nice call with a company that make luxury printed items. Using I don't know, any form of printing techniques and embellishment, from screen to embossing and foiling and whatever it is. For the moment, they closed the door, but they are ready to reopen. They have employees who are ready to go back to the office and start printing. And it is more or less the same in other commercial printing and whatever packaging. Yes, and I had another conversation with a company that is producing packaging for the armed force, again, for packing food, for packing other things, and so they are carrying on working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed the interview you did with the guy called Yuri from Odessa.
Yuri is, they produce stationery.
Yeah, and so the stuff they do looks fantastic, you know, made from recycled products. And he's ready to ship product to the rest of Europe by the sounds of it. So, he just needs relationships with people who want to buy his product. Obviously, he's unlikely to sell it within the Ukraine itself, but he's not far away from the border there, is he? So I would imagine he would be able to trade. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, the logistics is quite a tough point, because the companies located in the western part of the country are still able to ship their goods through more or less regular logistic services, through express couriers, normally mostly Ukraine-based companies. The companies in the Kiev region are struggling a little bit more, because not all the connections are guaranteed. Some guys told us we are taking advantage of the humanitarian, let's say, trucks that come full of goods and food, etc., and go back empty, so that we can, I don't know, put some goods in these vans or trucks, and in other parts of the country it's quite difficult to deliver. So
yeah,
and it is exactly the same for the suppliers. There are suppliers that have, for example, one big supplier of small size digital presses. They decided to close the headquarters in Kiev, and they move the entire warehouse of toners and other stuff to the western part of the country, and they moved most of their employees to Poland, and they are in the position to let's say deliver some materials, but in some parts of the countries they cannot send goods, and they cannot send tech support because it's not safe, because this delivery is not guaranteed. So it's quite a mess.
Yeah. Robert, you had a question in the chat there, which I think probably be better coming directly from you. Do you want to ask your question about interviews?
Certainly. First of all, congratulations to you guys for doing this humanitarian effort, which is really the scope of what it addresses. I work with Inkish, and we are a news media organization concentrating on the print industry. I'm curious if it, first of all, would be safe for any of the printers that that are still in operation or have had to close, for them to actually engage in an interview, a video interview, and listen to, hear them speak, first person about what the circumstances are for them, the kind of help that would be valuable, and the challenges that they face.
Robert, nice to meet you, first of all. We are good friends with Inkish. We like Inkish, we like Morten. And actually, Morten was one of the first person in the industry that was involved in this project. Unfortunately, until now, he was unable to give us any practical reply. What I could say is that these people can some of these people can can make an interview with you. What I would expect, honestly, is support to the Print Against War, building the Print Against War material. What I would expect from a media agency, media company, from magazine owners, editors, video makers like you, is to contribute to the growth of the Print Against War YouTube channel, and of course with mentioning your effort. But when it comes to joining the forces, joining the efforts, this is something I think it's going to be more effective than interviewing and bothering the same printers for 2, 3, 4 different goals. The idea with you and with the friends at What They Think could be to join forces, because we are just a very small company, and we do not have the strength needed to grow this channel forever at the same pace we are doing now. We are trying to start it up, but then we would love to have Inkish and Printweek people and whatever other people, these beautiful people this industry have involved in the process of developing the Print Against War community.
Okay, if you'll just simply reach out with what you think would be a practical first step, I'll make sure that it's discussed with Morton, and we're looking for ways that we can help and contribute in a way that's meaningful.
Yes, it's easy. We first give visibility to Print Against War through us, interviewing us, for instance, in front of with something that is going to be shared with the Inkish TV audience, and then maybe help us in making these interviews. So
Sure.
be part of on behalf of Print Against War, be part of Print Against War. Not just an external satellite, but as we mentioned with Martin, who agreed, be some of the founding members of this community.
Fair enough.
There's a question from Rob that I'm interested to hear the answer to as well. And I think it's Gabriella. You've got some refugees staying with you.
Yes, I have.
How did that process work, and what was their what was their journey like to get to you?
Oh, it was a long journey because first they spent 1 week in Kiev, not understanding exactly what was happening. So the first week of war was in Kiev in their garage. So they, not both the people, but one of the two lived 75% of, not 70, but half of the time in the garage during the day, and then in the house during the night when there was the curfew. You remember at 5 they had the curfew, and they went back to the house to cook food and clean have a shower, etc. in the evening. So that was the first week. Then they decided that this was not possible. And think about that, since they are not rich people, they were used to live, their houses are in the perimeter of the city, which is the most dangerous area. Those suburbs like Leatherhead or other places nearby, just nearby the city. So they decided to move to the villages where their grandmothers, the original villages, 30, 40, 50 kilometers south from Kiev, where they spent a couple of other weeks. And we got in contact the last week, mid-March, something like the 20th of March. And then they started the real trip to Europe. So they booked a bus, and that bus was on the 31st of April. So from the 20th of March to the 21st to the 31st of April, they were first in this village, then they moved to Thermopyl, which is another place nearby Lviv, where the bus they have the starting point from where the buses leave. Because now buses are not going anymore inside the Ukraine. They don't go, they don't reach Kiev. You have to move to west if you want to get a bus. So they had this 6.5-hour, 7-hour trip from the village to Thermopyl, and then finally from Thermopyl to Venice by bus, 24 hours, and 4 more hours to reach my house in Milan by train, thanks to the free train in Europe. They took the train in Venice, Mestre, nearby Venice, and they reached Milan Central Station by train. And that's when we met and we cried a lot, all of us.
Wow. And did you have any contact with these people before the war started?
No, zero.
No.
Absolutely zero. I put my name on a website, which is Shelter for UA. If someone is interested, I can put the link in the chat. It's a website developed in 48 hours by a couple of nerds, geeks. It's not respecting any law, GDPR, nothing. You put your name clear with your phone number, your email address. Everybody can see it. And in in less than 4 hours, I got the first contact from these two girls, and I got much more contacts in the day after, before I canceled myself from the listing. And now I'm still in contact with other people that managed to come to Italy, but not at my place. And I'm trying to help them, because as you can imagine, bureaucracy is a nightmare.
Yes.
So you arrive here, and then you have vaccinations, permissions, paperwork, whatever. And yeah, I'm trying to share my experience with other refugees through Telegram groups or Facebook groups or things like that, to help them.
But, at least you're able to take the initiative to do something and then catch up with paperwork later. And it's an embarrassing problem in our country, in the UK, because it's just taking far too long. And there's no, I don't know, I'm not going to get political, but I feel embarrassed to be British sometimes, the way we don't respond quickly enough. But let's move on from that. So eventually the war will end, and we just hope that will be sooner rather than later. What will the main needs be at that time?
Yeah, I think at the time, our foundation is exactly to help at that time. Our foundation and the Print Against War project is about post-crisis intervention. It's not, we can't do anything better than the Red Cross or than UNHCR. I mean, they are great, and the refugee crisis is not something that we can take care of. But yes, when the war ends, this community and the idea of having a long-term foundation living in the long term, it's the moment when the foundation will start making grants to help people purchase machinery, software, consumables, and provided I have probably this, okay. So I'm disappearing for 1 second. So you can see the idea is to make grants for purchasing machinery, consumables, and pay salaries, provide advice and education to partners and tools, software mainly, to increase profit margins by improving productivity and reducing cost. You have to imagine that, of course, Ukraine is not Germany or France or Italy or UK. They have small companies with not industrial production method, and we thought that maybe we can help also we can help them to improve their profitability. And last but not least, create opportunity, as Lorenzo mentioned, maybe a delegation of printing professionals from Europe going there and paying the cost for all of them to join us in Kiev and having meetings and develop some long-term business partnership, which could help them to restart their business. And moreover, as anybody knows in the military sector, morale stays to whatever else, everything else 4-1. So morale is the first thing that we need to help them raise.
Yeah.
And so I think seeing European and of course also US or whatever other part of the world printers caring about them and going there and visit them and buy their products will help them. Because you have to understand, and I understood that very well, and I'm struggling with that every evening since the 1st of April. There is a little bit of psychological problem. We are talking about practical things, money, machinery, companies. Guys, there is a problem at the human level that is huge.
Yeah,
it's really huge, and so this is. We want to create opportunities to meet, and yes, of course, make networking, but in a way that it's a little bit unusual.
Right. There's a question here from Joe Francis. And she asked, do you know if the Ukrainian Printing Federation or Association is still functioning?
We have no feedback about that. We are trying to connect with them, but for now we have no direct feedback.
But
So
there's a guy called Igor, isn't there, who's a publisher in...
Yeah, Igor Agarkov,
yeah,
is a publisher there. He started again publishing the magazine last week, so he managed to publish the second issue, a smaller version, exactly with the idea of proving that the world is still there and nothing is finished. Yes, he is helping us a little bit, but he's dealing with also with this, I might say probably anger problem, but it's not a problem, but he feels very, very upset for this invasion, and sometimes it tends to be a little bit violent. That's why, for instance, we do not have any specific message from him. We have a lot of written interviews, but sometimes it's not easy to keep him calm in front of a camera.
Yes, I've read some of it and got that, reading between the lines, got that impression. So one thing that a few people have mentioned now is things like merchandise. You know, like if there was a Print Against War T-shirt, I'd buy one. You know, without giving you more work, have you thought about that kind of thing? Could somebody, you know, who's in that industry help if we could get you together?
Okay,
for raising funds?
Yes, we it's something that can be done, but what we are trying to do to not, you know, we have all of us, all the people in this fantastic meeting have another job, have a real job, and are busy. So there are many options for raising funds, but we are trying to avoid the too much fragmented ones. The reason behind the checkout donations is that you can easily understand that if we manage, thanks to your help, of course, to connect with the Vistaprint, for instance, it's just one agreement. Let me go straight to the point. One agreement for a big amount of benefit. And if we think about 10, 15, or 20 printing companies, it's still 20 agreements.
Yeah.
When it comes to managing single mugs or whatever, goods, merchandise goods, or getting donations from private people, it's an enormous amount of work to handle all of that, all of that. And we do not have we should hire 4 or 5 people to do all of that. And this is, for now, we would love to concentrate on these checkout donations. Also because checkout donation, just to be technical a little bit, have nothing to do with the tax relief, because they are not a donation from the company itself. It's a donation from the end user. So we can receive them already in 10 days from now. While, for instance, tax-deductible donations are possible only when the foundation is set up, but also when it gets the non-profit name, which is about after an investigation from the Estonian government.
Yes. Okay. Well, we've come up to the hour, and it's flown by. Thanks very much, guys. You know, if nothing else, hopefully everyone has gone to printagainstwar.org and registered. And I hope, you know, we'll all come up with ideas or ways we can help and get in touch, and also spread the word too. So, Kelvin, back to you. Thank you very much, Lorenzo, Gabriella.
Guys,
Thank
you very much. Honestly, what you guys are doing deserves a round of applause. It's just absolutely fantastic, brilliant, well done. And I hope we all do come together and help. We're back next week. We've got a long weekend here in the UK. We're back with the Crown Pub. We do this every week because we all like to make sure everybody's okay. And this whole subject is going beyond our normal region and doing what we can. I'm going to repost the video tonight. I'm going to do the video straight away and get it straight up there. I'm also going to put your links up as well to try and get more interest. We've got nearly 1,500 followers. hopefully we can help in some way. And I've registered straight away, as I'm sure some other have. I saw Warren was on there as well on the Slack site. As I said, we're back next week. We're talking about how close Daryl Danieli's picture is to how he actually looks like in real life.
Frighteningly close.
As a subject. But in the meantime, everyone stay safe. Someone's just got it.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Yeah, you too.
Take care. Be
Cheers,
safe,
Melvin. Cheers, everyone.
and
All right, thank
Easter,
you.
everybody.
take care.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks. Have a great
Thank
break.
you.
Bye. Thanks again. Bye.
Thanks for joining.